It's been several weeks since Big Joe caught me on the up and up. Ever since the altercation at the airport, I've been lost. I've been living in this old lighthouse alone, on a pier on an island, and every day I wonder, and I ask myself, when can I ever go back to my old life? The glory days, sending trucks down the boulevard, spreading the nicest, juiciest hot dogs to the people of the city. And every day I answer myself, every day I tell myself it's over. It gets hard, you know, living alone in a lighthouse like this. But it gets harder knowing even more that I'll never be home. That I'll never be able to live back in the city that I used to love. Back in the city of Skaldvic. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of City Skylines with me, Skald. We are back in the city of Skaldvic, and we made a lot of progress in the last episode, which has put us right on the edge of being a Megalopolis. We are so close now, and so I'm just going to kind of spend some time waiting for that update to trigger so we can unlock the rest of the squares. We have 81 tile mods, so we'll be able to unlock everything. So the idea that I came up with to spend some time in working on was this idea of putting in a ferry system to get back and forth from Appa's town to the main city. Right now, the only way to do that is to drive on the highway or go along the trains. So, this one has enough buses. So what if we put a normal ferry terminal here? Let's try and line this up. But I'm just thinking it's going to give them another way of going around and getting back and forth. That should be pretty quick. So let's go ahead and plop one up here as well. They're pretty much right where the train stations are, but, you know, every little bit will help. So let's put this one down here as well and see how that works out. Cool. And, oh, that's going to be too steep. Can we come this way? Yeah. That's also too steep, except it's not, because we just use anarchy and everything is perfect. No worries whatsoever. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and get these situated, and we're going to jump into a time lapse when this ferry is set up. Ooh, Megalopolis. Nice. We finally made it. 60,000. That's going to let us unlock the rest of the tiles. Awesome. All right, so we've got everything set up. We've got bus lines. We've got ferries starting to run with some passengers. Let's see, 107, 145 over here. Nice. As you saw during the time lapse, we actually got Megalopolis, which is super exciting. I'm going to run through and unlock a ton of tiles. Alright, so we're back now with these tiles being unlocked, and the first thing that I wanted to fix, I've been wanting to fix this for episodes now, but have not been able to, is these outside train connections. So you can see like a ton of people over here, but also just an infinite number of trains are in the way. So one of the ways that I've commonly dealt with this in the past is making a train station over here that collects the incoming passengers, but I saw a tip that says you can just put a stop right at the end here because it acts like a train station itself. So we'll run that to the station that's been accepting the inner city trains and back. And this is going to be our inner city line. So let's grab I have a nice Amtrak. I think that will work well for that. But then we're going to just go ahead and turn off inner city trains. And then I'm also going to just take some time and delete all of these trains that are stopped up here because we don't need them anymore because we're not accepting inner city trains. I'm going to admit that took way longer than I expected, but here we are with our first of our own technical inner city trains pulling into the platform. We've got a whole lot of people coming off, so we can already see that it is working, running back and forth, and that is going to do wonders for keeping the train traffic down in our city. Yeah, I mean, that is a couple hundred already. Oh, no, that's the other line. But the same difference applies. I mean, that's a lot of people coming in already on these trains, and suddenly there's not going to be traffic over here. And, you know, as it figures out, it will probably add more. And we'll check back on it later to see that it's working the way that we intended. But for now, I'm thinking that our trains will not be getting in each other's way as much, which is going to bring in a lot more people in general to the city, which is going to help in our tourism, etc., etc., etc. Right now, these trains are coming into the same side. Will it let me drag this across? Will it let me put one on the... No? That's... Maybe? Please? Please? Okay. I guess we're gonna give up on that. That's fine. But either way, let's go see if we can't get this sorted on the other side of the map. So let's follow this. It comes all the way out here, I think. Great. So first things first, I'm just going to drag this node over so it's making sure there's room for the trains to spawn. We'll get rid of that one. And perfect. Just so there is room for these trains to come in and stop in the first place. That can always be an issue that I've at least run into. I've seen some other people run into it. And we're just going to do the same thing that we just did. So we're going to put a line stop over there. And following the train line all the way up and around. And here's our station. Perfect. And it can come in all the way down there and back. And end the line. We're going to give this one the name. Regional. Regional makes more sense, right? Because it's going like between regions. Give that a color. Great. And let's select that same Amtrak asset that we had. We probably don't need too many trains. But great, that should be set up. Let's make sure this is also regional north so that kind of stays consistent. And great, let's just go turn off inner city trains on this side and we will be good to go. And wabam. So you might ask yourself, Skald, what are we doing now that we're Megalopolis? And one of the first things I want to do is fix up some of the edges of some of the stuff that we had built a long time ago. I've left these as dirt roads for so long. We're finally going to come back and do this, but I also want to expand this area. So let's go ahead and jump into another time lapse. So we've done that part down there, and now we have a little section here at the top that I want to take a look at, the top of Skaldvic, that is. And I had an idea for this area, which is just going to be kind of a little pier type point area that I think is going to be really kind of cool and interesting, and I'm going to talk about it as we get there. Let's just plop a roundabout at the end here. Looking pretty good. We need to smooth this out a little bit. Grab our smoothing tool and just do a little bit of, yes, maybe. That's marginally better. Yeah, we'll come back and clear that up a little bit later. And so I'm thinking of making this another little sort of tourist destination. So I want to make sure that we have access to it with some public transport. Let's go ahead and plop another one of these metro stations down. I did the above ground one. I mean, it doesn't need to be above ground, and we're probably actually going to go back below ground for a bit of the track. I just think it's fun to see the trains themselves come rolling in. So we're going to go ahead and do that and get this connected up with the purple line, since it's running along that same part of the road. So we'll keep going up straight like this, and then we'll go underground. And I'm going to get started on this section, and I'll bring you back when we've made some progress. Alright, so I wanted this to be kind of a touristy area, so another great way to do that is to put in another landmark. So we're going to put down the Sea Fortress, which is going to increase our ship and airport capacity for tourists by a little bit. I'm going to put it here at the end because that way it's kind of as if it was built to help protect whatever original settlement was here from any attacks up the river. That's kind of the lore that I've come up with, and I think it makes sense. I mean, if this was a settlement that was made by people on this island here, they would want ways to protect themselves, especially from places where they can't see as well. So it seems to make sense to me, and if not, maybe we can come up with some other lore, but I think it fits in this location. Let's just use move it to drag it up to the road a little bit and make sure that it has water. But I think it looks really good over here, and it's going to give a reason for people to come up to this part of the city nonetheless. So just give it some water. And I'm going to just do a little bit of quick detailing around here in this area so that we can improve the land value a little bit. Alright, let's give a check to see if anybody is using this new gray metro line that we made earlier in the episode. Not a ton, but hopefully people will come back to that. The purple line is still by far the most popular, and even that might need an extra vehicle or so just to help with it. It's a pretty long line at this point. This stop is by far the most busy. It is next to a couple of high schools, so that makes a little bit of sense. How about we check how the ferry line is doing? 101 pass out. 800, 1100 at this stop here? Wow. Alright, that is a lot of people. And oh my gosh, look how well this is being used. Like, the whole parking lot's being used up. That's so nice. Well, in the first episode when I built this parking lot, I've gotten a lot of comments when I've shared this that they were never going to use that much parking, but here we are. I'm going to make just another line here that just goes back and forth between... Can I put these on the same side? No? Okay. Just going to go back and forth between that station and the Skaldvic Island. Give it a slightly different color. Because that's where I imagine most of the people who are waiting here are trying to go, is just straight across the river. And so I think if we have more ferries that are just doing this back and forth loop, that might help deal with the 1100 people. We should just add some more ferries to all of the lines in general. But we'll definitely want to keep an eye on that because that is crazy. I love seeing the parking AI work and have them actually use it. I mean, this little park and ride section has gotten so busy. I'm actually going to take away the parking even from these roads here, just to force them even more to be in the parking lot. Yeah. And maybe I'll let them park just down here. I think that works. And maybe on one side of the street. It just looked a little cluttered on both sides. Yeah, that looks so good. And look how many people are using the buses up there. Yeah, we're definitely going to need to keep an eye on this ferry terminal because I can tell that a lot of people are getting off the train, getting off the bus, and using this ferry to get across. So we're going to need to give the AI some time to learn that now there's a ferry that just runs back and forth. But that's going to be pretty exciting to keep an eye on. I do wonder if this Appa's town line is the train line's being used, so I imagine most of the people that are taking the ferry are just trying to go straight across. So hopefully they'll switch over to that second line that we just created somewhat soon. That's going to wrap up today's video. I really appreciate anyone that tuned in. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It helps me as a creator. I'm also putting a link down in the description to the Discord channel, which I highly recommend you join. It will give you kind of a more up-to-date idea of what's going on with the channel. We have some discussions about suggestions. I give little spoilers about what's going on, so you'll get a first to know by joining the Discord there. And otherwise, until the next episode, I hope you are all doing well, and I'll catch you in the next one.